So we began our float model probably in 2005, and at that time it was related more to my faculty perceiving that residents were never on their rotation, and things, with vacation and post-call days, people found continuity on their services was lacking with our residents, and that's why we developed the float system to actually help with daytime continuity for patient care on various services. Initially, we started with a one-week model where they were basically on night shift from 7:30 till 7:30 a.m. and 5 days in a row. The benefits of that turned out to be great continuity daytime and really actually great continuity at nighttime as well. The residents found that particular model tiring 5 days in a row, and also it added that evening shift from 4:30 to 7:30 and that double handover. So subsequently we moved to our current model, which is a 2-week model, and two residents on for a 2-week period, and they alternate nights. And they actually start at 4:30 in the evening and go till 7:30 in the morning, and they alternate nights. And with that, we eliminated the evening shift, and it gave residents enough time in between their calls to recover. So that was our model, and we had used that model for our senior residents only, and our junior residents will go on that model as of July. So what's happening now is all our junior and senior residents, when they're at the Children's Hospital site, the McMaster site, will be on the float model. If they're on services outside our hospitals, so community hospitals, they will do whatever happens at that community. We haven't moved to the step of actually restricting duty hours in community, and I think it's a good thing, so they can actually see what happens in the community, because they are kind of protected at the tertiary care site right now. The off-service residents that come to our site will be on a slightly different model. They will be on a 1-week model because they only come to us for 4 weeks, so we didn't want to take away 2 weeks of their ward time, so they'll actually be on a 1-week model. So anybody coming to our hospital, the Children's Hospital, and of course all our residents will be on a float model. So the initial model, 2005, faculty were on board because we had sort of said to them that this will improve your resident engagement and availability during daytime, better continuity, less post-call, and they were quite happy for that model to come forward. We had a hard time back in 2005 actually convincing the residents to make the move. They saw this as a change, and it took a lot of engagement and involvement with the resident body to actually get them on board. Once they started the model, they were better engaged, and they actually came up with future models and suggestions, and now actually find it a much better way of doing call than the traditional call. There's the concern of time on service, and it's actually improved our time on service and the continuity during the daytime has actually improved learning subjectively. As we've made changes to the model, resident engagement has been key. So I guess rather than lessons, I think the barriers or problems we still sort of face, I think the biggest lesson is have faculty and resident engagement for sure. The issue with the handover became quite obvious with our first model because that doubled our handover. And so we certainly implemented teaching our residents handover skills, and we're implementing iPath. So that's been important with that double handover, though with our model we've eliminated double handover, but I think handover still becomes key. In terms of handover, just having that continuity at nighttime with 2 residents alternating, eventually they get to know the patients quite well, so I think that helps. Finding time in the schedule, because our first years do 6 weeks of float, second years do 6 weeks, and so on. So that takes away from rotation time, but ultimately when we've looked at it, it actually doesn't make a difference, because we've just picked some rotations to shorten, but the residents end up spending just as much time as they were in the traditional model because of not being post-call. The biggest barrier right now is when we have the float model is if somebody becomes ill, has to take a leave of absence, a maternity leave, so on, that now means trying to find somebody to cover a 2-week block rather than a call here and there. Certainly, from our experience, we found it a good move. The only worry we have right now is transition to practice. Residents already are coming back to me and saying that this isn't what happens out in the real world. And as physicians, we haven't moved to restricted call hours, and most of our staff still do 24-hour call, and most of my community still does 24-hour call. So that transition to practice, I worry about a bit. However, a lot of my fourth-year residents that are staying for general peds are going out there and doing community rotations, and I'm hoping they're getting that transition to what call will be like. On the other hand, hopefully they'll take our model, and as they move into practice, we'll change call practice for practicing physicians.